quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Hello there. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Our Way Mandalorian Review. We are going to do a spoiler-heavy recap and review of this week's episode, but I am not alone on this journey. I am joined by Gregory Lee, also of Nerd Culture, and Nick is here as well. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Good.
I'm doing well.
Doing real good.
Doing real well.
I'm in New Jersey for about 2 more hours.
A little bit of behind the curtain, giving us a peek into the travel habits of the new kid on the block here, Nick. So, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I should say, for those of you who are watching this live and at home, please feel free to drop your thoughts, your opinions, your speculations, your conspiracy theories, whatever it may be. And a special shout out to Thomas Carter Rochester. I know you said you missed out on last week's episode. This is your chance. Get in on the chat right now. This is your chance, man. So anyway, to dive into this thing, and we see that Caroline is with us. Caroline, how are you? Thanks for being with us. So real quick, I'm going to give you a spoiler-heavy recap of this week's episode. We're going to go into our thoughts and go from there. So reminder, this is spoiler-heavy. If you have not seen this week's episode, put this video in your watch later list. Go on Disney+, watch the episode, and come back and chime in on this later. Anyhow, so this week's episode was called The Siege. Once again, Mando continues his quest on how to figure out where he's going to bring this kid to a distant planet, to a mystical group of Jedi, reunite the child with his, peoples, his peeps, whatever. And he comes across a place he's been before in Season 1, Navarro, and he hangs out with Greef Karga and Cara Dune make their most anticipated return. 2 of our favorite characters from Season 1 are back, and they say, hey, things have changed around here. Things are changing for the better. We got people living here now. There's not as much chaos as there was before. Cara Dune is now the marshal of the town. Greef Karga is working, some of the inner workings of the town, some of the trade routes, and making sure things are going smoothly behind closed doors. He has a creature that made an appearance in Season 1 as his assistant, if you will, and if anything bad happens, he's going right back into Carbonite.
They made that very clear about like 12 times during the episode.
Yes.
Carbonite's very uncomfortable.
I was talking about that with my friends. Like, do you think that hurts? And I'm like, I think it tickles.
Yeah,
no, that hurts.
I forget the creature's name, but the creature said, I can't still see out of my left eye because of my Carbonite incarceration. So here's the deal. Mando drops the kid off at school. The child is hanging out with humans, kids,
that was like my favorite
creatures,
part.
Protocol droids, whatever. And he's just sitting there eating cookies. He takes a back seat, as he's been doing for the last several episodes now, which I'm fine with, because I'd rather see Mando kicking tail and taking names and seeing where he's going rather than where the kid's going to end up. So what ends up happening is that Cara Dune and Greef Karga say, hey, there's a situation on the outskirts of town. There's a factory that has been stockpiling weapons. It's an old-school Imperial factory. We need to go in there, overload the core, shut it down, explode this thing so it doesn't affect anybody, and we don't have any remnants of the Imperial troopers coming in and trying to take over, or whatever the case may be. Maybe a little bit of resistance from the old school of the Empire. We'll see. So they go there. They set off the reactor. They try to explode it. Eventually, it does, but they run into a bit of a situation where there's nothing but stormtroopers every single corner you look. They are being shot at. They're being trying to be destroyed. Whatever. There's great escape sequences. There's great sequences of them just shooting blasters and beating the heck out of stormtroopers. I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. And then they get chased by not 1 but 4 TIE fighters who are trying to take out Cara Dune, Greef Karga, and the fish character. I can't remember his name for the life of me.
We'll call him
They escape on an old Marauder type ship, whatever it was, like a transport ship. That was awesome. The action sequences, once again, are fantastic. I think the visuals are really good. And at the end of the day, they escape the jaws of death at the hands of TIE fighters. They save the town. They explode. But there's a bit of a secret that was revealed in the course of this siege on the factory. They find out that Moff Gideon, who made an appearance in Season 1, is trying to replicate or put together a clone, or maybe a force-strong, force-sensitive army of deadly troopers, because at the end of this episode, we see Moff Gideon in this room filled with soldiers in black stormtrooper-like gear, and they want to transform them into super soldiers. And we're thinking, oh, so they're trying to make these soldiers force sensitive. They want to enhance their abilities, maybe try to resurrect the Empire in some way, shape, or form. And Moff Gideon says, well, don't worry, because we're going to find this child. We're going to get a sample of him. We're going to install it into these soldiers, and we're going to make things happen. Is he or isn't he? We're not sure. At the end of the day, I thought this episode was pretty darn good. It was great to see Cara Dune and Grief Karga come back again. Some good one-liners, some good exchanges. And also, we see a bit more with Cara Dune. Maybe there's a hint of a potential bright future for her as an X-Wing pilot who we may or may not have seen in other episodes, offers her a gig and says, hey, we're rebuilding the Republic. We're rebuilding Justice for All. You could be a big help to us. And he offers her a rebel-looking badge. I thought that was pretty fascinating. I'm very much looking forward to seeing, is she going to think about it a little bit more? Is she going to take the New Republic up on their offer? Is she going to throw it back in their face and just go on her own? What exactly is going to happen with Cara Dune? But it is great to see it. It's fascinating to see a little bit more layers added to certain characters. Other than that, it was a good action-packed episode. Maybe not quite as good as last week's, but still a good episode. And we got a little bit of Easter eggs, a little bit of salt and pepper of what we could potentially lead into in the next few episodes. Other than that, I enjoyed it. Greg, what are your thoughts on this week's episode known as The Siege?
So I have an analogy for this episode, and basically the season so far. Mm-hmm. Imagine picking up one of the best story-driven video games ever made, and all you do is play the side quests. You don't actually do the story. All you play is the side quests. This is what season 2 of The Mandalorian is. You're literally going through playing all the side quests, meeting all of the side characters, but you never actually get into the actual story. Like you only start going back to the story once you run out of side quests to do. And I feel like that's what they're doing right now. Like all they're doing is giving you side quests, and sure, you learn little things here and there about the main story, but really all it is side quests. I mean, it was an okay episode to me.
It's funny that you say that, because right when you said that, I'm thinking of side quests, and every side quest usually starts with, I'll give you so-and-so if you can help me with this. And literally that's how every episode started. It's I'll tell you where the Mandalorians are if you deliver this creature to the home planet.
Oh no, Nick.
I'll tell you to find the Jedi if you help us take this Imperial cruiser. I will help you take you to Ahsoka Tano if you help us blow up the Imperial base. It goes back and forth.
Yeah. I
remember
a lot of side quests.
It's side quests, and then he gets a small, it's oh yeah, wait. We still have to deliver the child.
Yeah.
But to me it's like this. I was really pissed in the beginning. My friend was sitting next to me yo, this episode's gonna be awesome. I was getting pissed because right when Cara Dune said, you have to help us with this, I was like, you're kidding me. I was like, all I want to see is Moff Gideon, who's my favorite villain. He's in Breaking Bad, The Boys. He's in everything. He's my favorite villain. Probably anytime you need a bad guy who doesn't look intimidating, but you still fear just by looking at him, you call this villain.
Yes.
He's
great.
Hit up the phone and you call him. Then I just want to see why Baby Yoda is so important to them. I wanted to see Mando actually go and do some cool stuff, and why the Darksaber is in his hands. Those are the main things I want to see, because those were all teased in last season. We barely get to see that. But right when I saw the tubes of the clones and the scientists from last season, because I don't know if you remember, that was the scientist who let Mando take the child. He let him take him, basically. We finally figured out what it is. They, like Ryan was saying, they're building super soldiers. And then you see at the end that they put a tracker on the ship, which means we're finally going to see him go on the offensive now. He's not going just waiting almost. He's going to attack. I hope.
There might be another side quest.
If there's a side quest, I'm just going to skip it and I'll watch till the end, because I feel like that's all you need at this point. Watch the last 5 minutes and you're good. It's what happens? It's what am I doing here?
The
side quest didn't happen.
You see a glowing
The
cat,
last-
and you're just like, I have a quest for you. I was like, all right.
It's like last season, the filler episodes weren't even until like episode 5, and there were only like 2 or 3 of them, and then you got right back to the main story, just
Yeah.
because they wanted to drag out the season. This,
Yeah.
it's like it's all been filler so far. It feels like to me.
It really, it really does feel like a lot of filler.
I feel like
Like,
I'm
it's-
watching like
It's still fun, but like,
No, I
I'm
can
not getting
see.
it's not fun.
Yeah, I can see how you would interpret it that way, and also, yeah, it feels like every episode now he gets one step forward, then he gets 2 steps back by someone saying, "Hey, you're going to get more info, but we need you to do this first. Like, we need you to do X, Y, and Z before you can end up with this." So I can understand where you're saying, "Oh, every episode is exactly the same," because he goes 1 step forward and then he's 2 steps back. Well, if I'm going to get to this part, if I'm going to get to this piece of information, I got to save these people. I got to save this village. He did it in the first episode. He did it in the next. I mean, it's just, I can see where you're coming from, but to me, the thing that keeps me interested, I should say, as we go along within season 2, more specifically,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because that I just like I understand the side quests are getting tedious, and it's kind of like, okay, guys, we get it. Side quests have happened a lot, but let's get to the actual story and not just this. I like it just because the suit is so good to look at, and whenever Mando is beating the heck out of somebody,
It's
whether it's on a
so
side
clean.
quest or
It's
not,
so
I'm just
clean.
in awe of that. Like, anytime he pulls out his blaster and he's blasting at Stormtroopers, like, I could watch 2 hours of that and not get bored. For me, anyway. I know that's not what everybody thinks, but you know, it's
2
it's
things
good.
I loved about this
like
episode. I have to say,
like, for example, I like this episode not as much as last week's because I feel like they peeled back even more layers with last week's episode than they did with this. But at the same time, it's so good to see Grief Karga and Cara Dune make an appearance.
awesome to see them. And the reason I was happy about this episode too, you finally see an actual like character arc. You see progression, like with Cara Dune. You found she's from Alderaan. Everyone she knew is dead now. You know,
Yep.
kind of like why she's a little bit of the way she is, and you almost want to see her like. To me, I feel like they're setting up like a Blaze of Glory thing, in the sense that like she just may go like all out and either like and meet like an untimely end to me, because like at that point it's almost like they're setting up for something big with that, because that's not like just lost everybody. Her whole planet like was exploded.
yeah.
She was from. That's not just something small. That's huge. And second, since when can Stormtroopers shoot? They hit Mando like 7 times in this episode.
But it
They
doesn't
couldn't
matter. It
couldn't
didn't
hit a
matter.
single person in the trilogies. They can't hit a single person, but they can hit this man who's the most expert bounty hunter in the world 7 times. I
But-
know it
but
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because like he can just get shot. Like
That's how
There's no
strong his
risk for him.
Beskar armor is.
Did they find higher competent soldiers? Did
I
I
think
miss
so.
something? Where were these dudes in the height of the Empire? All they needed was a shot to the shoulder on like one of these guys.
yeah, but
That
I
is-
mean,
That
What
is true.
happened?
Well, the
I know it
here's the-
doesn't matter. I know
No,
it
you're right,
doesn't
you're
matter.
right.
It just
And-
makes me feel better. I know it doesn't
this-
matter, Greg.
No, I
he
mean,
can just take
yeah.
shots.
That was Greg who was saying that. But listen, to answer your question as to why Stormtroopers can actually shoot something that actually moves and not just say, oh, well, Stormtroopers are bantha fodder, that they wouldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Here's the situation with that. In the original, not the original, excuse me, in the, what is it called? The prequel trilogy, that was the clone troopers were skilled fighters. And then when the
They were
Empire took
based off
over,
Jango Fett.
yeah, they got rid of the clone troopers because they didn't want there to be an uprising, because potentially the clone troopers could like overtake the Empire and like, you know, be their own thing, because they are a clone army and there are millions and millions of troops out there. So I get that. They did away with the clone army and then they just brought in regular standard, you know, just regular human beings for them to be the Stormtroopers in the original trilogy. And because they can't hit anything is because they're not as skilled and highly trained as the clone troopers were in the prequel era. So that's why Stormtroopers in the original trilogy couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. But I am curious, what kind of troopers are working on these outer banks or outer rim bases where they can suddenly hit everything and hit, you know, they hit Mando, they can hit other characters, they've killed other characters within this show. I'm a little bit curious myself, and if anyone has an answer to that as to why Stormtroopers can suddenly hit almost anything at this point, let us know in the chat, because I'm curious, because that's the only explanation I know of that, well, that's why they did away with clone troopers, because they didn't want them to take over the Empire, so the Empire just recruited regular human beings to be Stormtroopers who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
They have gotten more skilled.
They've gotten more dangerous too.
I also realized that like they're I guess the only way I can describe it is doubling down on midichlorians.
You're doubling down on midichlorians.
Because like they were just talking about the kid's blood, and they were just like, I can only extract so much, and like for the M count in their blood, I was just like,
yes. Giant Easter egg right there.
Are we not allowed to say midichlorians anymore? Will we cause an uprising in the fan base?
Yeah, they did. They kind of did away with that. But then again, when they said his M count, it could mean midichlorians, or it could mean something else. We don't know.
It's midichlorians. What else would it be?
Like with Yoda, that they have the highest midichlorian count. That's why he's so important to them. He has like a huge count of it. Just in like his like smaller age, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone thinks it's still going to be when the M is revealed to be midichlorians, or if someone thinks it's something else, let us know in the chat. We'd love to hear about it. And thanks for chiming in for those of you who are watching us live. So, yeah, that's I can see where you're coming from with that. So, what do we want to see happen in next week's episode? Nick, you go first. What do you want to see in next week's episode?
To me, I want to see Ahsoka Tano. I'm not gonna lie, because I watched Clone Wars when I was a kid, and she went from like the person who I wasn't really that like whatever with, like she was just like an annoying side character to me, and then she turned into probably one of the best. No, she turned into one of the best characters.
Okay,
she turned into like the unwanted like apprentice, where she tried too hard, and now it's like she's probably the best thing that came from Clone Wars easily. Like she's been like one of the best. She's like one of the best characters in Clone Wars. They did right by her, and if I can see her live action in this, that would be cool. But I don't know. I want to see that, honestly, because we saw Bo-Katan last week, and it's like, wait, they're actually coming. Like, these live-action rumors, there weren't just rumors. They're actually, like, coming, because we've already seen Boba Fett and her now. And the other rumor was Ahsoka Tano, which means all three are coming, and they already confirmed it. Personally, that's me. Because with the robot that Goff had at the end, maybe she'll destroy them? Maybe?
Yeah.
We will have to wait and see. But Greg, what are your hopes and speculations for what could happen in the next episode, and what do you want to see happen in the future?
I just want a main story quest. Like I just want something from the main story to get done, which is again getting to Ahsoka Tano. So hopefully they deliver on that, and hopefully it's not just like a fan service thing. Like hopefully it's not like the last 5 minutes. It's like, hey, I'm Ahsoka. You got to go over here now. See ya. And like that's it. Like I truly hope that they
like you want her to join the actual main story.
Yes. Like I actually want her to join the main story, because I feel like they're just killing time right now.
I would love to see her in the main story, but would you think that would make Team Mandalorian a little overpowered? Because she's considered one of the best now. Like in this part of her life, she's probably one of the better Jedi. Would that kind of make them like they really won't find any real like obstacles? I
mean, they barely find obstacles now. Like I think the biggest obstacle for him this season was like the creepy spiders. Like,
and the reason,
like the creepy spiders, like that was like the biggest challenge that he's had. Like even the like Drake Dragon, I think it was called Crate Dragon. Like even the Crate Dragon was kind of just like, let's just blow it up.
He went inside that thing. He went inside though.
Yeah, but it was nothing to him. Like it was just like the thing vomited acid, and then like he was just like, I'm gonna go inside of that. It's just like, okay, like why? But I mean, hopefully that they start moving the story forward, because I don't know how much longer they can keep people interested without moving the story forward at this point.
Yeah. Well, considering Disney Plus's best show is that, they're gonna have to, because if they lose interest, they could lose viewers.
I mean, if they lose interest, like they lose everything. Like Disney Plus will like, I honestly think Disney Plus will fold if like The Mandalorian starts failing.
We haven't gotten one of the original shows that were promised I don't know if it was because of COVID or just delays, but right now all they have is the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So they need
Mandalorian is carrying right now.
Yeah,
it's back. It's hurting.
Yeah. On that note, it is a combination of the two, with the pandemic still being a big problem and delays with other projects that have been going down at the studio and other projects that have been going on. But I will say this though, I wouldn't mind Ahsoka Tano if she makes more than just one appearance for one episode. If she becomes part of the team or whatever, I'm okay with that. If she wants to be part of the overall story, that's fine. If she wants to keep coming back, it's fine too, because you're going to give a big portion of the Star Wars fans what they want. They have been big fans of Ahsoka Tano since the very beginning. You know, she goes from being a character known as Snips to being one of the most iconic and most important figures in the Star Wars universe. So if she comes in for one episode, I'm cool with it. If she wants to stick around for a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe a few months, you know, that's fine with me too. Thomas, you may be late, but we're kind of wrapping up here. But if you have any thoughts or opinions about this week's episode, Thomas, drop them in the comment section. I see you there in the chat. But anyway, as we move forward here, any other thoughts before we kind of wrap things up here? Nick, did you have any else you hope to see in next week's episode and beyond?
No, I think I'm good. I got all my points. I don't think we're ever going to see Boba Fett at this point. So,
I honestly think that was just like a hey, there's the actor that actually owned that.
Yeah, it's like, so you showed him for 5 seconds and you're just not going to go back.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. Like, I do think that this show is made by fans for fans.
Well, yeah, because
which
it's
is
Jon
like
Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Yeah, like,
Dave Filoni built Clone Wars,
thing.
and Favreau is a great director and everything.
Yeah.
He's dealt with stuff like this.
Yeah, like there's nothing wrong with that. I just think that like sometimes you also have to take risks. Like you really gotta take a risk. Like if you're gonna show Boba Fett, like don't just show him. Like don't just show him to get like the cheers from the fans. Like actually like put him in the story and like craft something with him. Like
I agree. Don't
just like hand it off.
Yeah, I agree. They've been playing it safe right now.
Yeah,
and they need to take those risks. One bad episode will not ruin a show.
No,
it's what you do from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Looking forward to seeing where the story goes within the Mandalorian season 2. We're gonna go to the chat here because some people have been chiming in with their 2 cents on the matter. Miguel says, I agree. It was a quality episode this week. Baby Yoda will forever have my heart. Okay, Miguel. That's cool.
In the spaceship was my favorite part. He's like cheering that these guys are exploding in the air.
Yeah, like
he's like, yes, die trash.
Also, I think this was like the first episode that Baby Yoda ever used his powers again, like since season 1. Like, and it was the steel cookies.
My roommate was calling like
cookies.
My roommate was screaming. He's like, "Steal the cookies! Steal the cookies!" And then all of a sudden, he's got him in his hands, like, "Hi."
Yep, kid looks right into his eyes, and the kid says, "No, like you're not getting these cookies."
How do you say no to that? You give him one, dude. Just give him one.
No, come on, kids are selfish. Kids are selfish.
Well, he's a child. He's like 50.
It is a child, but maybe that kid in this episode was having the Napoleon Dynamite mentality, where the friend who was sitting across from Napoleon says. Or no. The kid from Napoleon says, "Hey, Napoleon, give me some of your tots." And then Napoleon, in this case, is the kid in the school, says, "No, I didn't have flipping anything today." You're not getting them. Gosh.
There's a difference between equal height on high schoolers and an elementary school kid looking at what he knows as maybe like a 2-year-old, barely.
Well, that's true.
This big, just waving hello to you.
It's two very different points of view. Let me just put it to you that way, which is, yeah, that's true. And Thomas, you know what they say, better late than never. He has some thoughts on this. He says, next week we're going to get Ahsoka. Dave Filoni's directing next week's episode. You all probably said it earlier. This last episode is up there in my favorites. I love a good siege as well as a good heist.
I don't know, man. I don't know, Thomas. Like, you weren't here, but like I was saying earlier, like, it's a lot of side quests, buddy. It's a lot of side quests.
Let me ask you this. Has anyone seen the meme going around on the internet from the original Shrek movie where he's talking to Lord Farquaad and then he looks up at him and says, "Quest? I'm already on the quest," which is every Mandalorian episode ever.
Yes.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it.
That meme has been going around the internet lately. I thought that's
the Mandalorian at this point. Like, the Mandalorian is just quests.
I saw a meme. It was like, sorry, I didn't mean to get up, but I saw a meme. It was like Disney Plus increased Mandalorian viewership by tenfold, and it was his helmet over Palpatine from the Revenge of the Sith. Like, I am Disney Plus.
Yes, I saw that one too. I was going to ask you guys.
I sent that.
On the interwebs.
I know. Yeah. I was very happy.
Yeah.
I see. I read the chat, Greg.
Yeah.
You get me your props.
Those two memes that have been going around the internet lately, I think those are hilarious. Thomas also goes on to say that Boba Fett is rumored to be a big part of season 3 of The Mandalorian.
I hope so.
I thought he was getting his own show.
That would be nice.
I heard rumors he was getting his own show.
Ooh.
Yeah, I heard that too.
But that would be horrible because what do you have to two Mandalorians doing like old Western stuff, side quest stuff?
That would be if he does get his own show, like it would have to be a completely different it would have to be a completely different show. It couldn't be a space Western.
How much different are you going to make it though? They literally look the same. They act the same.
I don't know.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. Thomas goes on to say, fun fact, Jon Favreau also voiced the character known as Pre Vizsla during the Clone Wars.
Actually. I knew that actually. Yeah, he's the dude who shot the other Mandalorian screaming failure. He's like, failure.
Now this just gives me an excuse to rewatch Clone Wars.
Such a good show.
To be honest with you, I should probably go back and watch more of Clone Wars because I've only seen season 1.
Have you seen the last season, Ryan? Have you seen the last season?
No, I've only seen season 1.
What is wrong with you? Ryan,
bud.
The last season is unreal.
I heard it was, and Thomas and David from Lights, Thunder, Action. There's your plug there for you, Thomas. They talk about that. Let me see here. Thomas says, "How is it a side quest when it is crucial to last season's plot of removing the imps from Navarro, and it leads to the revelation of how fracked up the soon-to-be First Order is going to be." Wow.
I mean,
I like that. By the way, Thomas, your use of the word frack, I love it.
I will admit that is true. Like, it does wrap up something from like the first season, but like it doesn't really move the story forward. Like it's just like, okay, like let's clean up this one thing from like season 1 that like kind of doesn't matter to season 2 right now. Like season 2 is supposed to be
if that 5-minute clone scene wasn't in it. Oh, we lost Greg.
Yeah. No, he's still here.
We lost you. You're frozen, bud.
Oh, he's back. He's back. You keep coming back in. But anyway, aside from that, Greg, as we've asked you this question a few weeks ago. I'm going to ask it again as we wrap up here. Who hurt you?
Clearly the Mandalorian.
You're like the Debbie Downer, like every week.
I mean,
but hey,
I'm trying to look at the show without like rose-colored
glasses. I get it.
Like, I'm trying to just look at it and be like, you know what? I love Star Wars. I love everything about it. But
every show on the internet, forward. Every show on the internet needs someone to be the devil's advocate, and that's who you are. And we appreciate you for that. Man, Thomas, you're just coming in hot with these last-minute comments here. He says, so a tracker on the Razor Crest, and finding out Gideon is alive, and then he has some droids and or super soldiers, yada, 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 Satan's whatever, doesn't move the ball forward, Greg?
I can answer that one right now, actually.
Go ahead.
We knew Moff Gideon was alive last week because he talked to the one soldier. We knew he was alive last week, and we also technically knew he was alive last season when he pulled out the Darksaber.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And if it wasn't for, in total of 5 minutes, we knew about the child being cloned and the super robots. And it's like, okay, but if those 5 minutes weren't in it, that's a typical side quest. They added that to make sure we would still be intrigued. I feel because if they didn't add that, people would have been pissed. They're like, oh, another side quest.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, it's just like they give you just enough to keep coming back, and I will come back. I will come right back.
It's like I'm watching Naruto right now, and it's like I'm skipping so many like seasons because it's like, yeah, should I watch it? Yes. Am I? No, because I want to watch the good stuff.
Yes,
I want to watch the real fights. I want to watch the real story.
Exactly. Like
I'm not watching this side quest stuff.
They give you just enough to come back, and like I'm going to keep coming back.
There's a little teaser at the end of each episode to keep the audience coming back.
I'm coming back for you.
Sometimes
when
less
I
is more.
thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Thomas says, Greg, I do appreciate a good devil's advocate, Greg. So there you go.
Thomas,
Greg,
I appreciate
you.
You.
Appreciation in the chat room.
I
Thomas
appreciate
says, but Mando
Thomas.
didn't know about that army. He thought Baby Yoda was safe. Okay, fair
That
enough,
is true.
Enough.
He did. He knows the child is in danger, but not how much danger.
I you know what?
I get it.
One of these days, I think Thomas Carter Rochester needs to guest star on one of our Way Mandalorian review shows because he says if it wasn't in it, it would be a typical side quest. So what you're saying is because it's in there, it's a main quest. Lawyered. Oh man, I love it.
Wow.
I absolutely love it. Man, we all need more laughs from the crew in the chat. Everybody who's in the chat, we love you to pieces. But listen, we're gonna wrap things up here.
Great.
We want to take this opportunity to say thank you for everyone for watching us live, or if you're watching this on the replay on our YouTube channel, we do appreciate it. Make sure you're following us on all forms of social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at It's Neuroculture. New videos are dropping each and every week on our YouTube channel, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Do all that stuff, and we hope you will join us on the next episode of Our Way Mandalorian Review, where we do spoiler-heavy recaps, reviews of that week's episode. Don't miss a new episode's drop every Saturday live on Facebook at 12 p.m. EST. Do not miss it. In the meantime, to everyone out there, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe, and this is the way.
This is the way.
This is
Our way.